What's up guys, Qehzy here bringing you guys another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do this 2D mechanical style of headers or banners in Illustrator and Photoshop. I like to use Illustrator for the main logo and like the setup portion of it, and then go to Photoshop to do the final touches and stuff. You could probably do this whole thing in Photoshop if you like, if you prefer it. A lot of the techniques are the same, but I prefer Illustrator. I think you get a lot better quality look, and so that's what I'm going to be using. So this is what we're going to recreate, this soar header. And yeah guys, let's get right into it. So I'm going to just drag this off to the side, and we're going to be here in Illustrator. We're going to create a new file, and I'm going to do a header. So I'm going to set up the dimensions to be 1500 by 500. That's like the lower quality one. You can do 3000 by 1000. That's like the higher quality one, but since this is a tutorial, I don't need it to be that high of quality, and I want it to not take so long to load things, if you know what I mean. Alright, so I'm going to zoom out here real quick, set this up, and then we want to get our logo. So if we go here into my AI files, most people or teams or organizations that you work for will have an Illustrator file of their logo. And so I'm going to be using the soar one right here. Click OK. And if it's like empty like this, all you need to do is select everything, the logo will pop up, and you can just kind of double click and select a color, whatever, doesn't matter, and then drag it onto the header file we created, like so. Sort of center it, doesn't have to be too centered, and then close out of the logo file, and you'll just have the header file like this. And that should be good. Now what I did was I made these two different colors. So if you have multiple paths, you can do that. If you just have one, you just gotta select one. So this bottom one, I'm gonna do a little bit of a dark gray, so the third one from the left. And then this top one, you could probably do a color like that, but I do it all gray, so I'm gonna do like a middle gray like there. So we got the light and the dark. Now I want to like cut up the logo to give it some different, like a different look, I guess. So I'm going to cut out parts of this. And to do that, we're just going to go here to the rectangle tool, and we're just going to create a shape where we want to cut out. So if we do this, this is what we want cut out. Just select both of these objects. Then you want to go to the Pathfinder. If you don't have the Pathfinder on the side, you go to Window Pathfinder. And then we want to go to shape modes and click the second one, which is minus front, and it'll get rid of that little chunk. Now here's the thing to note: if you try this on a path, like if you notice, you can see this and this are two separate things, but if I click this one, they're grouped. So if I get the rectangle and I try to cut out something from one of these, you can see I select them, I do it, and this disappears. Now if that happens to you, what you need to do to fix it is select this grouping, right click, ungroup, and then you can see it'll select it separately, because this is not selected anymore. And then you can go ahead and do that, and it should work. But yeah, that's just the most common problem with that. But we're gonna just create another chunk over here. Now I'm just mimicking the one I created before. You can do these anywhere you want, of any size. This is just where I had it before, so I'm doing it again. And yeah, that's sort of the look here. Now we want to kind of do something with those gaps. And what I did was made it look like there was colored pipes going through. So let's get the rectangle tool, and now let's kind of think of a color scheme. So in the original I did like pinkish purple and yellow. I think in this one I'm going to do a blue and cyan and yellow. So let me go with the blue first, and then the cyan's going to be the secondary color. But let's get the darker blue, and we'll create like a little pipe here, like so, and then sort of center it. That should be pretty good. Yeah, that's not bad. And then if we go ahead up to this layer, click this down arrow, and you can see all the layers. And if I just drag that into the new layer button, it'll duplicate it, and it'll select it. And if it's not selected, you just click the little circle there and it will select it. And then let's click on this top point, click Alt, and kind of bring it in here like that, and then let's select the cyan. Now this might look a little funky here, but in Photoshop we'll clean that up and it'll hopefully look a lot better. Actually, it will look a lot better. But then let's fill in this space here. So let's get the dark blue again and kind of create another little pipe here like that, maybe a little smaller. That works, that looks good. This, I'm actually going to thin it out a little more, like so. Actually, that's a little too much. Let's actually get the back one and make it a little thicker. There we go, that works. Now let's start adding some details. So there's multiple things you can create. I'm going to be including all of the files to the headers I made like this, which is the soar one and the obey one, or the obey brellas one. And so those files will be in the description. I already released those at another time, so I have no problem giving those away. I'm not going to wait for 100 likes or whatever. So if you guys don't want to recreate this stuff, you kind of want to just take from me, it's completely alright. It obviously won't be as original, and you won't feel as complete, I guess, doing that, but it's no big deal. If you're just starting out and you're trying to learn the shapes and put things together, it's really handy to have that. But the first thing we're going to create is my favorite effect on this, and this is like the striped square effect. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this rectangle here with the dark blue. Let's get the mouse or the selection tool, click Alt, click it, hold Shift, and drag it down. So we have a duplication of that. Let's get the rectangle tool again and just select another color. I'm going to do the cyan for now. And let's create some thinner stripes or rectangles. So we got this guy, and then let's Alt click, Shift, drag it over, and space these out evenly so they are like the spacing's the same as their width. So that's pretty close. And let's do it again. And then another 2. Alright, and then to get them perfectly evenly spaced, we want to select them all and go to Align. Again, if you don't have Align here, you just want to go to Window, Align. And if you go to Distribute Objects, the second little grouping, you do the middle one, which is Horizontal Distribute Center. That'll make sure they're all evenly spaced perfectly. And then you just click and rotate 45 degrees. Kind of place them on there like that. You can see we have 2 extra, but we're going to select, actually let's just delete these 2, and then let's select all of these guys, go back to our Pathfinder, and let's do that minus front again. And you can see we get this stripes, and then let's make them cyan, then let's click, hold Shift, and drag it up, and boom, there's our little square. And if we select that, right click and group these, now they're together, and we have this nice like little box, which on mine I put it down here, maybe a little smaller here, like that, and then I had one up here, again it was a little smaller, something like that, and that just looks really cool. I don't know what it is, just I think it looks neat for whatever reason. It just brings both those colors together that we're going to be using, and it's just a nice little effect. Now we're going to go to one of the simplest effects, but it's pretty effective, and I just kind of used it to fill in dead points or like dead ends, essentially, I guess. And so like that would be like right here and right here, and what that does is it includes our third color, our tertiary color, and which we only include in like very small amount in this, and that's going to be the yellow. And what we're going to do is we're going to get the ellipse tool, and we're going to go here and we're going to create a circle about the width of this, and we're going to do one of these, and we're going to drag it below all the layers so we get something like that. And you can see it's just like a little sphere at the end, and if it's a little too big, we can kind of like oval it out so it's like that, which is what I did in mine originally. And then we're going to do the same thing to this one over here, so again like that, and this one probably can stay pretty spherical, except we're going to have to drag it all the way down to the bottom like that, and boom. And that's just like a simple effect, and it looks neat, it doesn't look bad, and adds that third color in. And then we can throw that yellow in somewhere else too if we'd want, which we probably are. Now we're going to start from the left side here, work our way to the right, and then we'll sort of just work our way down. So what I did up here was this kind of, I don't know, it's like 3 circles connected with a bar, and it's really simple. And what we're going to do is get our dark color or get our fill color, and we're just going to get a lighter gray. So maybe like the third one over, that works. And then let's get our dark color of the two. So like the cyan would be the bright color and the blue would be the dark color. So I'm going to select that as the dark color. Then bump up the stroke to like 3, actually maybe 5. Then let's get the ellipse tool and let's create a sphere right here. Maybe like about 30 pixels wide. That seems like a good size. Yeah, that's like perfect. And then actually we don't need it to be on there yet. Actually, we should probably keep it there so we have a great size. But we kind of want to set this up on the corner, so maybe like that. And then let's Alt click, drag, and let's set it up a little lower. Maybe there. And we're going to make this slightly smaller. So we're going to bump down the stroke 1 to 4 so we get something like that, and maybe move it up. Actually, let's move it right here so it's not overlapping with that blue bar. And then let's Alt click and move it somewhere else. Maybe there. There we go. And actually, let's move this a little this way so it's a little bit more even. And there we go. There's those 3 dots. And now let's add some rectangles. So let's get the rectangle tool. Let's click on the stroke and hit this none button and get our color. And now we're going to go with the bright cyan. And let's just create a little bar like that. We'll sort of line it up here, and we're actually going to drag it below all those circles to something like this, and then we can zoom in here, get a better look. Maybe rotate it a little bit. There we go, that doesn't look bad. Let's duplicate it holding Alt, and then let's rotate it to fit this guy. There we go. There's kind of the look. Now, if you can see that the lightness of the cyan kind of blends in with the back here, so we could probably get away with making this the darker blue. That should look fine. That's not that big of a deal, and I think I'm going to stick with that. And that's just like a simple effect. And if we wanted to, we can zoom in here, and if we wanted to use this later on, we can select these circles, the rectangles, right click, group, and then if I select on one, or if I click on one, it selects the whole thing, so I can easily just click and duplicate it and use it somewhere else if I wanted to. Now, we don't have like a lot of space to work with, and I don't really want to overuse that effect. That's kind of like a one and done thing, so we're not going to use it again, but it's just nice to know that you can do that with other things. Now, for these like gap spots, there's one effect that I do every time, and it's the simplest effect you can do. So let's get rid of this stroke, and let's select a color. So actually, since this is a dark and this is dark, let's go to the cyan. Let's get the rectangle, and we're gonna make like just a little thin rectangle by this cutout, like that, and that's it. That's just like a nice little bar, and it kind of would be a ring if you think of it like 3-dimensional. Like this whole thing would be kind of like a pipe, and this would just wrap around it. But at our angle, it looks like a rectangle, if you know what I mean. That's kind of the look you're going for. Like these would also be tubes, but like on the side angle. So that's kind of the thought behind that. But that's just like a nice effect, and it kind of changes just adds more detail. It looks really nice. It's super simple to do, and it's not that big of a deal. Now we're gonna get into something a little more creative, and that's kind of creating a panel. Now I do this like at most twice on a certain figure, so you wouldn't want to do this more than twice on a logo. So in this one, we do it twice. We do it up here and then in the bottom here, which are like the 2 biggest spots on this. So what we do to create that is, first off, let's select a brighter gray, so maybe that one. Let's get the pen tool, and we're just gonna kind of copy over this general shape, because this is a pretty good shape for this logo. So we'll click there, hold shift, go down, and we don't want anything flush. So we're not going to go as far as this. We're going to be a little thinner. And let's go maybe a little past it, and maybe up here, We'll go like that and then like that. And let's close it off. Now let's get the direct selection tool, let's get this anchor point, and let's make sure that this is straight. That's as close as we're gonna get, so that's not bad. And yeah, that's like a nice little panel, kind of changes up the color a little bit. Looks pretty nice. Might be a little too thick or too long, but I'm gonna stick with it. And we're gonna create a cool little effect at the bottom here using that same stripe technique. So what we're gonna do is Alt-click, drag this down, and hold Shift when you drag it down so it's in line. And let's go ahead, get the rectangle tool, and just pick a color, whatever. Oh, no, actually, make sure you don't have this selected. Click off of it, then select whatever color. And then create a little rectangle like this. Get the direct selection tool and click on 2 points that are next to each other. And we're going to drag them left. So we're going to go pretty far actually, like that. And so you have this diagonal rectangle but it has the flat edge still. And let's duplicate this and evenly space it like we did before. Something like this. These might be a little too thick, but we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Yeah, this is going to be a little too thick. We'll make this a little smaller. How's that going to go? That's actually perfect. So we'll do these 4 right now. Oh, right now. That was a weird accent I just put on. So we're going to put them at the bottom like that. And then let's select this and the minus front option. So you see we got rid of that space. And let's drag it up in line with the previous one, like that. And if you click in one of those gaps, like so, and you select another color, we can do whatever here. So we could do like the cyan, and you can see it creates that sort of cyan effect. I actually have to bump this up like 1 space. It's like slightly not aligned, which is actually unusual. This is the first time it's happened. There we go. That should be a lot better. Yeah, it's still slightly off. No big deal though. You can just shrink the bottom if you wanted to and just get the blue in this area. Or whatever color you want. So in my case, I didn't use blue. I used a different shade of gray. I went slightly darker. So like something like that, which works. You can do whatever. It doesn't matter. But that little striped effect kind of like indicates little notches in the panel or whatever. And it just looks neat. And what we're going to do is just add some simple effects. So if we go select on this guy again, and you can see it's grouped so everything will be together. But if we go in and get one of these circles, put it down onto the new layer, it'll duplicate it. And now actually I don't know where that went. Is it? Yeah, it's this guy. Am I right? Alright, sorry, I just got a text. And we're going to drag this off the group. And you can see now this will be separate. And we can just drag it over here. And we actually have to drag it to the very top. Like so. You could also just recreate another circle. But, you know, I don't. But we're going to change up the colors here. So we're going to make the inside. You could either go cyan or dark blue. I'll go cyan. And then the outside you want to do a dark gray. So maybe that guy, that's actually not dark enough. Let's do the third one like that. So it's like a, I don't know what this would be. It's just like a nice circle effect. It just adds to the piece a little bit. And we're actually going to make it a little smaller. And then let's duplicate it and drag it over to maybe there. Alright, not bad. And then we need something in the middle here. And what I did this simple effect. So I went to the rectangle tool, clicked and held, and went to the rounded rectangle tool. And I got the light gray here as the fill, and then the outline. You can either do the blue or the lighter color. So I use the lighter blue for the circles, so I'll go the darker blue this time. And we're just gonna create like a thin sort of rounded rectangle like so. And we'll do the 4-point stroke still. That looks pretty good. Not bad. Then let's get a normal rectangle. Let's flip these guys. Click on the stroke, get rid of it. We just want the solid. And let's zoom in here. And let's create a rectangle that says just about the same thinness of this. So you can just do it over it. So it's exactly the same. And then we're going to create some like stripes going across it. And you'll see it sort of looks like a grate. And let's just go ahead and duplicate it. You can space these out, however, they don't have to be equal. Alright, something like this, and then you just go through, select them all, and let's do the align technique again. So boom, they're all aligned. And let's zoom out. And there we go, pretty easy, great. I probably could have added one more, kind of made that look a little better, but that's not too bad as is. And another simple effect that we're going to do is, let's get the pen tool and let's get that yellow, that tertiary color, and we're going to include this in here. So what we're going to do is, I always like a little piece sticking out of here, so let's go ahead and kind of click along this path. And let's go create some sort of shape. So maybe, let's see. We could just do maybe like dun, dun, dun. I mean, it's a little weird, but kind of looks like a penis, but yeah, you just create a random shape there. Like, that looks a little off. Actually, let me just something like that. Probably not as long as I just made it. Just like a little thing that pops out. Looks good. And it just kind of adds that tertiary color there. That shape is not a good shape. It should be a little more rectangular, maybe with rounded edges. Sort of what I did before. I really kind of screwed up what I was going for here. I don't know. I just kind of lost my mind there for a second. But that's whatever. I'm actually going to move this guy a little closer. Also, you can add a little detail here. But I kept it blank, so I'm just going to keep it blank as well. Now, occasionally you want to add a little extra to these. So what I did was add a little tank type thing up here and added some text. And what I did was got the rectangle, got rid of the stroke again, and got, we can either do the darker blue or the lighter blue. I think I'll do the lighter blue just to include it a little more. And let's just do a little rectangle like that. Let's duplicate it over if it wants to let me. There we go, like there. And then let's get the rounded rectangle, and we'll do a lighter gray, maybe a little darker than the panel we did, but let's create something like this. There we go. And then we can go ahead to the sidebar where the layers are, drag it into a new layer, which will duplicate it, and then make this darker. And then make it slightly smaller if it wants to let me. And it doesn't. Come on. Do I have to... Why does it just do the edges? Some things about Illustrator, man, they're so weird. Actually, let's just go in and down if it will let me. Alright, it's not, I guess, whatever, it's not working. I don't know how I did it. I must have made it uneven, sorta. But you could probably just do a stroke too and get the sort of same effect. Something like this. Actually, it doesn't even look bad. It probably looks better than what I originally did if I just bump up this stroke. Yeah, there we go, that's not bad. Maybe just inverse these guys. Does it in... If I select it, that's why it's not working. There we go. Yeah, something like that. Let me bump up the stroke a little more. There we go. Yeah, that's what I was going for. So yeah, just add a stroke. There you go. And then you can include some text there if you want. Just to save time, I'm not gonna do it, but you just make the text the same color as the edge, and that'll look pretty good. Now let's keep on moving, and now we're gonna get into some simple effects that just look good. So the first one is we're gonna stick with the rounded rectangle. We're gonna get rid of the stroke, and we're gonna get a really, we could do that same brightness. Let's keep it the same. We don't want to differ too much, but we're just gonna create simple thin stripes like this. So it sort of looks like a grate, I guess. And then we'll just evenly space these guys. Select them, and let's do the align thing. This time we're gonna have to do it. Is it this one? Yeah. The first grouping and the middle one. That'll evenly space it, and you get this sort of great look. You could do these a little thinner. This is a little too thick, but it's just like a simple effect that adds a lot of detail. And I'm actually gonna move these over. Nope. Wow, that was a nope and an oops. Oh, come on. There we go. And we're gonna actually add something right here. And what this effect is really simple. It's a couple rectangles, a couple circles, and we're gonna actually select a darker gray, maybe this one, and let's create a rectangle like this. Let's duplicate that in the layers here, and we'll change this color to the bright cyan, and let's make it smaller holding Shift and Alt if it wants to work. There we go. So something like that, and then we'll bring it to the bottom here, and then let's get the ellipse tool. Let's get the darker blue, and let's zoom in here. Let's kind of get in the middle and create a circle that doesn't go over the edges, just like something like that. And let's duplicate it down like that, and then we'll bring this guy up, and we have to change its color back to cyan because I had selected, and just boom, there we go. Quick little effect. Kind of looks like some buttons or something. I don't know. It looks good. You could probably make that a little thicker and make that guy a little thicker, but you get the gist of it. And that's essentially the top part. That's about all I did, with a few exceptions. I kind of added a bit of color behind here too, which you can do anywhere really. That was just, I added a little bit of the brighter pink, so the bright cyan back here. You guys get the gist. Now we're moving on to the bottom half, and we're going to start off by creating an effect that is actually on the top too. It was right here, but I kind of messed up with my spacing, so I'm not going to add it. But we'll create it right here where I have it on the original as well. And that's kind of like the wheel, the turn wheel to turn things on and off. And what we're going to do is get the ellipse tool. Let's get the fill as the darker blue and the stroke as a gray of some sort. So we'll stick with the brighter gray. Like, we'll do the fourth from the right. Bump up the stroke to 3, maybe 4 actually. Oh, maybe 4. And then let's go ahead and click somewhere sort of in the middle. And about that big. That should be perfect. Yeah, that's ideal. And then let's duplicate this in the paths and bump it up fairly big, like something like that. And then we're going to get rid of the fill this time. Bump up the stroke to like 6. Change the stroke color to the brighter color, so in my case the cyan. And then let's get to the rectangle tool and then make it fill, not a stroke. And select the darker color, so the dark blue. And click in the center, hold Alt, and create a long rectangle like that. And I'm going to have to zoom in here because this is when angles and things get involved. We're going to drag this up so it's centered like that, and then drag it so its end cuts off there. And we'll have to drag this rectangle below the outer ring layer. And we're going to click Alt and drag it down, center it, bring it 60 degrees, or rotate it 60 degrees, and then line it up like that, and then hold Alt duplicate, then right click, transform, reflect vertical, then bring this guy over, and boom, there's like your wheel. And if I zoom out here, you can do another grouping. So if you select all these, you can right click and group, and then if I wanted to, I could bring it over here and put it where it was on my original, which it was a lot smaller, like that. And yeah, that's basically the wheel. I could probably actually make the wheel itself a little thicker. So if I wanted to just select this, you can see if I click on it, it's grouped. It'll all be selected, and instead of ungrouping it and then selecting it, you can just go over here to the layers, click the down arrow, and just select the ring, and then I can just bump it up. We'll stay about 7. That's pretty good. And yeah, that's like the wheel effect. It looks really nice, really easy, and yeah. Now we're going to create sort of a panel look. So let's get the fill color, and let's get a lighter gray, and let's create sort of a panel here. So let's go like here, down, and like that. Now this is when we can kind of include other colors. We're going to use the brighter cyan first, and we should click off of the square first, but then go to the brighter cyan, and let's zoom in here again, and let's create some lines so that it sort of is like text. It's sort of like in a paragraph, if you know what I mean. So we'll do like one of these, and let's just actually duplicate it down to the bottom here, and then kind of put some in between. Maybe another one. Now you can tell these aren't evenly spaced, but that's okay, because if we select it, I'm actually going to select these guys and do the distribute objects align in that middle one, and then I'm actually going to make this bottom one thicker, drag it down, or move it down a little bit, and then I'm just going to change the length of some of these. So something like that. There we go. Kind of texty looking. And now let's get the yellow. And you can also do random colors here. I did some green on mine, but I think I'm going to stick with the yellow and create just like a box here. It'll sort of be like the picture, like that, and then do a smaller one like that. And boom, there's like a little bit of a panel. And you can do whatever you want with that. You can include circles or whatever you'd like. And now we're going back to the simple square effects here, since there's a cutout. And in this case I did 2, so let's get a medium-ish gray. And since we're on the darker one, it's going to be a little brighter, so maybe this guy right in the middle. And we'll do this one pretty thick, so like that. And then let's click off it. Make sure you click off it. I keep making that mistake. And we'll do a brighter gray. And this one will be smaller and thinner, like that. And that just adds a little more. So that looks really nice. I always like this combo, this pairing. It just seems to always look nice. And then we can actually add one on the other side if we wanted to. So maybe I'll take this thin one and add it over, but just make it a little darker, like that. Pretty simple and easy, yeah. Alright, now we need something cool here for this gap, and this was what I struggled with the most, probably, thinking of what to do here, because it's kind of like an odd intersection. But what I ended up doing was getting the polygon shape, and actually I think I have to double click here to pick it. Yeah, so I'm going to go with 6 sides. We'll do 50 pixels, we can just adjust, and that's actually might be perfect. I mean, maybe I haven't used this tool since I've done this thing, but that's like ideal size, maybe? No, it's got to be a little bigger. We'll do something like that. Alright, and we're actually going to make this, we're going to flip this so that's the stroke, and make the fill a darker gray, so something like that, so it almost blends in with the background. And let's bump up the stroke. And we could actually go to the stroke thing. Do I have it up here? I do, it's somewhere. Oops, is it this guy? No. I don't know, but we could, oh wait, it's right here. We could play with this and do it, align the stroke on the inside. There we go. So it fits our shape a little better. And we can even make it a little bigger like that. And we're going to make this another grate, by the way, if I haven't said that already. And we're going to flip the stroke and the fill again. And then take off the stroke. And again, let's match the thicknesses. Boom. And let's drag this down. Duplicate it. Obviously these aren't very well spaced. By the way, if you can see how these are very like awful spacing, but if I select all these and do the even spacing, the end pieces or the end objects won't move. So if you want the objects to be between a certain point, that's how you do it. You kind of set it up. So I want this one to be a little thicker, that one to be a little thicker, and then we'll select all of them. Do the align. Which way are we? We're this way. There we go. And then let's just expand them out. Bring these guys in. Bring these guys in. There we go. So now we got this grate. And then again, we could select all of these and group them if we wanted to. I'm not. I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is another really cool effect. And the kind of point of all these is you're using simple objects to create a sort of look of some sort. So this one's really creative, and I probably saw it somewhere to get the inspiration, but nonetheless, it's a really cool effect. And I'm really, I won't say proud, that sounds really over the top, but yeah, it's just like a really good effect that I was like, oh wow, like this is really neat. But okay, enough jabbering. Alright, select a darker gray for the stroke and a lighter gray for the fill. And we're going to get the ellipse tool, and let's do another little message on my phone. And we're going to create a big circle, probably like that big. And of course we're going to have to bump up the stroke. That works. And then let's create another one that's a little smaller over here, like that. And bump down the stroke, like that. There we go. So we have these two circles. And what we're going to do is get the rectangle tool and get rid of the stroke again. And let's get a medium gray, like this guy. Click in the middle of this guy and go over to the sort of the middle of this guy. Create a thin rectangle like that. And what we're going to do is rotate it like this. Let's see, maybe right there. And we're going to put the rectangle below those two circles. Perfect. And then let's alt duplicate it, right click, transform, reflect horizontal this time, and then drag it down. And actually it's not going to be evenly spaced, so we'll have to adjust it like so. Even more. There we go. And now that kind of has like the look that this is like a conveyor belt type thing, and this is like going around here. And you can see it's just simple shapes, but it really brings the effect together. It's really neat. And you could probably put some stuff in the middle of here. I didn't, it's whatever. But the next effect I did then was in the middle of this guy. And I got a brighter gray. And I don't know what this would actually be, but we got the rounded rectangle. And let's just kind of do this, and then let's click off of it and get one of the colored ones. So I'll do the bright cyan, get into the middle, click, hold Alt, create like a thick thing like that. And yeah, I guess it kind of resembles like a tube going into here, but yeah, I just thought that looked neat. There wasn't really anything else to it, but there we go. Now we're almost done. We're in the final stretch. We have the last couple of effects to do. So we're gonna create another panel, and again we're gonna keep it simple. So let's get the brighter gray, the pen tool, and let's click right in line with the edge here. So boom, shift, go a little further. Let's go over. Let's go up. Let's go 45. Let's go straight again. Let's go 45, straight, 45. Let's go over, and we'll do like a bit of an angle like that. Perfect. Maybe even bring that down. And we can even make this go over a little bit. Alright, cool. So you just kind of have to like create random shapes like that. This is mainly what I spent most of my time doing, kind of creating panels that I liked. And obviously I was just looking at the previous one, and this is sort of the shape I used. And again, we did this stripe pattern thing down here. And just for, like, you guys already know this effect, I'm not going to show you that. But the next thing I did was, I kept it simple. I got the polygon tool again, and let's select the bright cyan. And let's just go in here, click, hold Alt and Shift, and just create a little like bolt looking thing here to fill that space. Pretty simple. And then let's get the rounded rectangle again, and we'll get a darker gray. And we're going to do this space. So keep in mind that there'd be like the stripes at the bottom here. So use your imagination for that. And so we got these guys. And then what color gray is this? The fourth one. So let's get the rectangle tool. Let's get that fourth gray. And we're going to create some little rectangles in here. So boom. And let me zoom in again. Let's do right there, and then like right there here. Let's just fill some in the middle. That should be fine. Let's select all of them. Let's evenly space them. What is it, this one? And then this is a really simple effect. Let's get the ellipse tool and get a really dark gray, and then let's click and hold Shift and make like a little circle on here, and then just duplicate these throughout and kind of put them on different places on each rectangle. Now I have no idea what this would be, but I just thought it looked really cool. Kind of looks like levers or something. I don't know. I thought it looked neat, so I did it, and I stuck with it. But yeah, so really you just kind of find things to fill space that look mechanical, and hey, it did the job, so it works. Again, we just did a little random piece in here that took up some color, and then there was a little space here. So it was like the bright cyan. Actually, it was the dark blue here, like the shape coming out like we did up here. And then the last thing I did before like all the gears in the background was I got the rounded rectangle tool, and let's do the stroke and select whatever gray. You can kind of mix this up a bit, and we'll bump up the stroke on here, and let's go from here to here, and we're gonna drag this to the very bottom of the layers. There's probably an easier way to do this, to get this to the bottom, but this is just what I'm going to do. By the way, guys, I'm like really tired while recording this. Oh, come on. There we go. So now it's at the bottom. You can see it's just like, this kind of resembles pipes. And I can make this a little thicker. As you see, it's like pipes connecting. And then if I duplicate it, you can do it in another spot, so like right here. And yeah, that's basically it. And then if you look, these are actually pretty similar. Oops. Just pretty similar. All these gears here, this was a gear pack that I downloaded and just kind of used a bunch of these gears as a background. And I don't have that file right now. I'll try to find it and put it in the description for you guys. But then I saved this and went into Photoshop and really kind of just added minute details. But I'll take you guys to Photoshop right now, kind of finish off this product. Alright, so we're in Photoshop. You can see here's the render, or the logo, I guess. I also saved the original one here. And I think I'm going to be working with this one because yours will probably look a little similar. And I also want to point out some things that I didn't show you guys in the Illustrator. So here's like this little bit of color in the background that I didn't show you, which is just a simple shape. And then I added these little rectangles at the top of here where the pipes go into. Well, I only did on this one just so it looks like they're actually going into something. And then I added this little guy on the pipes too, there and there, just to add a little more. So that's basically the only things I didn't show you. Everything else is sort of here, but this one's a little more detailed and whatnot. You can see the colors are a little different, but that's not a big deal. I'm actually going to change those to maybe, well, this is close to the original, we'll do that. And what I did when I got into Photoshop was, first off, sort of tilted this guy a little bit, like that, and then I duplicated it, enlarged it, and brought down the opacity a lot, just so it's ever so slightly visible. Now keep in mind that in mine I had a bunch of gears too, and I just cut those out just because I didn't want them when I just saved this a little bit ago. But if you take a look at the original, so like there was more going on here with the gears, and like I said, I'll hopefully include that in the description. And so that added a little more. And then I go to this background layer, Command U it, and this should pop up, and you just make it a little brighter, like +5. It's a little too much actually, we'll stick with +3. So something like that. And then I went to my Insane pack, which is in my store. If you want to go ahead and buy it, I'll put that in the description as well. Added this little stock. You can probably just get this off the internet too. And we just kind of set this guy up. Let's make the color, we'll just take down the saturation and take down the opacity. This just adds a little bit of detail. And then the final step before the color correction was going to the original render, creating a new layer, making a clipping mask, and then getting my brushes. So my brush pack is also in my store if you want to download it. But you can just use your brush pack or anyone else's brush pack if you like. You just need some like dusty kind of things. So like I have a couple here that are kind of like splatters and whatnot. And we're just going to add a couple of these here, like that. Get a couple more. Boom, boom. And set those to overlay and bump down the opacity. That just gives it a little more texture. And then you could also add some metallic textures on here if you'd like. And then I added a little bit of a color correction, not much. And that was basically it. I kept it really simple in the Photoshop. Really the most difficult part is being creative and creating stuff like this. And yeah guys, hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. This was a lot for me. I try to record this all day, but I just haven't had the energy. And I just like drank a Red Bull to get through this. And I know it was a long one, a tough one to get through. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, drop a like in the description. I really appreciate it. 100 likes for the next tutorial. And make sure to follow me on Twitter at Qehzy. Subscribe for more tutorials. And add my Snapchat, which is also Qehzy, and I'll keep you updated on this kind of stuff. But yeah, guys, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Peace.